Hey everybody, it's Dominic with Mindful Relationship Bootcamp. Today is day number 11, and I've got this and one more day before my 12-part series is going to be over on Mindful Relationship Bootcamp. So I appreciate all the comments you guys have given down below. Okay, today, it's kind of similar to a lot of different things I've talked about, but it's about making requests, making schedules, and knowing when you can have better timing. Let's say that I tell Meredith on a Monday night when we're going to sleep that she's trying to go to bed, and I say, "Oh, honey, we need to get this thing done this week sometime. It's something we need to check off our list. We need to get something on the car done. Can you do it?" And she's like, "Yeah. Just tell me the details and I'll do it." And I'm like, "Great. Well, you got to do this. You got to take it to the people. You got to get the registration done." She's like, "Okay." And then Friday comes along and I say, "Hey, did you get the thing done?" She goes, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking. When did you tell me to do this?" These are how these problems come about. We make problems because we make requests, we make schedules, and we pick the wrong time, we pick the wrong method, and we don't communicate clearly about what we really need, and we don't get confirmation from people. So here are some tactics and some things that can help you when you're communicating and you're making requests and you're scheduling so that you can follow some guidelines and avoid conflict patterns, okay? Number one, times. There's never really a right time to have any conversation because sometimes someone can be having a bad day and you can have a conflict just based on having a conversation. But I'll give you some times that are probably the worst to bring up something, talk about something, schedule something. Number one is first thing in the morning, when between the time you wake up and the time you leave the house for work or the time you start work. And the reason being is that the mind space and the energy that's used for that time is usually preset with a series of tasks you need to do. Wake up, go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, take a shower, make breakfast, do something for the kids, get your things together, put your clothes on, go. And by getting all of these things done, there's really little space for anything else to enter in, whether it's a request, a new schedule adjustment. So even going to, you're saying, "Oh, honey, we need to do something this afternoon," it could really fluster that person just from hearing that first thing in the morning. The other part is also at night before you go to bed. That last hour and a half to 2 hours before you go to bed is really used for winding down the day, for decompressing. It's time for downloading information and going to a place of rest so that you can sleep. And when you bring up something that's either a topic you want to talk about or whether it's a schedule you'd like to add to it, what it does is it takes the mind energy out of breaking down to turn back up and start turning again. And that's why you see, if you tell someone something at night, the next day they may not remember that you told them that or that you asked that. So here's some things that you can do today that will make things a little bit better. Again, I'm not going to say that there's a best time of the day, but probably an ideal time where you can get clear communication is going to have to do somewhere between lunchtime, when you have a break from doing work, that time of just rest in between, and the other time is probably between the time you get home and probably like an hour before you go to bed, because that's a sweet spot where you can actually grab that person and spend a little time just connecting and making sure you have their full attention. And here are a few things that you need to make sure that you have in order to make your request heard and make sure that things get followed through on. Number one, ask for their full attention. When you ask for someone's full attention, you're basically saying, "I would like to speak with you about something." And if "Yeah, okay, we can do something," say, "No, can you please just lower the phone a little bit so I just have your attention?" And when you make that eye contact, you say, "Thank you." Number two, the second thing that you need to do is make that request. I'm not going to go into the big, deep thing I did before, but when you make a request, start with the phrase, "Can you help me?" Instead of, "Hey, I need you to do something," the first thing they're going to say is, "Why don't you do it yourself?" Or, "Hey, can you pick the kids up today? Why can't you do it?" If you say, "Hey, can you please help me?" Most people are going to say, "Yeah, what do you need?" And then it just opens it that they're actually open to receive. The next part, once you have their attention and you've gotten them to be open to it, be clear about what you're asking them to do. And also when you're clear about them, ask and come to a consensus on a timeline. So for instance, if I need something done, if I need to get the car registration done, that I could say, hey Meredith, can you help me out please this week? And she goes, yeah, what do you need? I said, well, the registration needs to get done this week on your car. Is that something that you can do? And she goes, yeah, I can do it. Go, great. It's possible for you to get it done by Friday? She goes, yeah, I think so. I don't see why not. And there you go. That's step number 3. The next step is to assign an importance to it. When you assign importance to something, it lets someone know that this actually means something to you. I sometimes use a scale where I say, babe, this is like an 8 to me, or this is a 10. This is really important because I've forgotten to do this, and so now it's really behind. And she goes, got it. It's an 8, or it's a 10. So by assigning importance is super duper important for us. And then the last thing is to confirm it, have them repeat it back, or just repeat it. Because just by letting them know, or letting you know that they've received that message, that means you created the message, you sent it, they received it, and it's confirmation. Again, there's no golden rule that will make everything amazing, but these are tools that can help create a safer place for you to communicate and feel comfortable to communicate and make schedules and to make requests. Because we don't always have to come to an agreement, but what we do need to do is to start a conversation and be comfortable having a conversation. Because one of the most interesting problems that we have is how we make priorities and how we're different in that. Because the two different priorities that are most important to people are priorities of time and priorities of importance. And if you did a little exercise and you gave 3 people a list of maybe 5 to 10 items and you said rank these in order of importance of what you would do today and how what time you would start, what time you'd be done by, you would get 3 totally different lists. Because generally, average people, they look at things from their own lens and their own point of view. You're going to look at things differently. They're going to look at things differently. And it's really not about winning. It's about having a conversation. It's about not necessarily even coming to a consensus because if I see something as an 8 and Meredith sees it as a 3, I can't say I'm right and say that she's wrong. It's just that's the way we are. And we have to start the conversation and find how we can make it work between us. And it doesn't necessarily mean come to a compromise, but what it does mean is have a conversation about it. Because life isn't about having one person be right and the other person be wrong. It's about how can you move through this with love and understanding and compassion and empathy. And lastly, I'm going to talk about one of the most important subjects regarding this, and it's a term that's called front-loading. One of the biggest needs that we have as human beings is to have a sense of predictability and security in our day and what we're going to expect and what we're going to experience today. And it happens also as adults and children. When we have a schedule, when we have a routine, that's usually how most people flourish. And a lot of kids can get really anxious if you surprise them and throw something on them they weren't expecting. So front loading can be a really amazing tool for that. The basis of it is that you are giving them information of a change that is going to happen in the future. And by doing that, what you do is you allow them to emotionally get prepared for something to happen. A lot of times people have kids and they have problems because kids get anxious because they're like, okay, we got to go now. And the kid doesn't know how to deal with the movement, with the change. If they had a certain schedule and something happens, they're not very good at absorbing this. That front loading really helps them progress by giving them information in advance and saying, we're going to be doing this in 2 hours. You have 2 hours to do this. We're going to do this in half an hour. We're going to do this in 5 minutes. Okay, we're going to put everything down in 3 minutes. By doing this, and you're preparing them so that when it actually comes, you say, okay, pencils down, that they don't have to freak out about it. And this is adults, we're the same. Front loading for Meredith and myself is really our saving grace because just like a kid, it's not that I thrive on routine, but I definitely set my priorities on what I'm going to do in any given day or any given week. And so I have an idea in my head of how my day is going to go and how my week's going to go. And if she throws something in saying last minute, sometimes it freaks me out and I go, wait, I was not planning for this. And I can be a little dramatic. And I think Meredith does too. If I throw something at her, she goes, I wasn't planning on that. That's not on my list today. And so by giving as much advance notice, it makes it really important. So let's say on a Monday, she goes, hey, what do you think about going to my parents' house and having a socially distanced dinner over there on Friday? And I go, yeah, I could do that. And she does it at a normal time of the day. I repeat it back to her. And then all of a sudden, Wednesday comes around. She goes, hey, by the way, are we still on for that thing at my parents' house on Friday? I go, yes, it is. And then on Thursday, she goes, hey, we're doing my parents' thing tomorrow. And sometimes I'll go, wait, oh, I forgot it's tomorrow. But most of the time I go, yeah, no, it's on the schedule. I got it. And by front loading, it's really important because you allow people to get emotionally ready and prepared to do things instead of being surprised, because as human beings, we don't do well when we're surprised into doing something. So just take all of these things into account. Try to make your request clear. Try to give a timeline on them. Make sure you ask, can you help me? And then also assign an importance, and finally ask for confirmation, and then front load as much as you can. These are really important things to do, but because you love the people that you're with and the kids that you have, you're going to make things a lot easier to live in peace with them, because you can communicate more clearly and get more things done within the unit so that no one feels that they're doing more than anyone else. So take this, run with it. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.